Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're tackling Psalm 8.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is, right? I
Let's
mean,
hear
talk
it.
about a text that just grapples with some really big questions, Humanity's place in the universe, our relationship with creation.
Yeah, the whole what does it even mean to be human thing, especially when you think about the vastness of everything else out there.
Exactly. And what's crazy is that this is like a 3,000-year-old poem, give or take, but it still feels so relevant today.
It really does. Speaks to something timeless, I think. The sense of awe and wonder that people have always felt, looking up at the stars, contemplating the world around them.
Okay, so Psalm 8. Where do we even begin?
Well, it starts with this incredible declaration of praise. How magnificent is your reputation throughout the earth?
Yeah, and it doesn't just say it once, right? It's repeated, almost like a bookend.
Exactly, at the beginning and the end. And I think that repetition is really deliberate. It's like the psalmist is trying to drive home this point about God's presence being everywhere, extending beyond what we can even comprehend.
It's powerful. And then there's this part that I always find so interesting. It talks about praise coming from the mouths of children and nursing babies.
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It is. What does that even mean?
Well, there are a lot of interpretations. Some scholars see it as representing this pure, uncorrupted form of praise, before cynicism or doubt set in.
Kind of like that sense of wonder that kids have, right? Everything is new and amazing.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder if maybe that's something we're all born with, that connection to something bigger than ourselves.
I love that. And then the psalm kind of takes this sudden turn. We go from this image of a mother and child to the vastness of the cosmos.
Right. It's this cosmic zoom out. Suddenly we're contemplating the moon and the stars, and the psalmist is asking, what is man that you are mindful of him?
It's almost like this existential crisis,
Yeah.
Here we are, these tiny beings on this little planet, and the universe is just massive. So where do we fit in?
Yeah, it's a question that I think a lot of people grapple with, even today. And that's what makes this psalm so relatable. It doesn't shy away from these difficult questions.
And then we get to this line about humans being made a little less than the heavenly beings, which always throws me off. What does that even mean?
Oh, that's a tricky one. It's been debated for centuries, really. Some interpretations see it as suggesting a hierarchy, with humans just below angels in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, I can see that.
But others interpret it as more about our potential. Maybe we're not that far off from the divine, that we have this capacity for incredible things.
It's interesting because there's this tension, right? On the one hand, the psalm emphasizes how small and insignificant we are compared to the universe. But then it also says we're crowned with glory and honor and given dominion over creation.
It is a paradox, isn't it? And that's what I find so fascinating about this text. It doesn't give us easy answers. It presents us with this complex picture of what it means to be human.
Yeah, we have this incredible responsibility, but we're also kind of fragile and flawed.
Exactly. And that leads us to the next part of the psalm, which is all about our role as stewards of creation.
Right. There's this whole list, right? Sheep, cattle, wild animals, birds, fish.
Everything. It's like the psalmist is saying, look, all of this has been entrusted to you. Take care of it.
And you have to wonder, how well have we actually done with that?
Yeah.
I mean, especially given all the environmental challenges we're facing today.
It's a tough question. And Psalm 8 doesn't give us all the answers, but it does offer this framework for thinking about our relationship with the natural world. It reminds us that we're part of an interconnected web and that our actions have consequences.
So even though it's an ancient text, it still has a lot to teach us about how we live in the world today.
Absolutely. And it challenges us to think about what it means to be responsible stewards, not just of the planet, but of all the creatures that share it with us.
So I guess the big question is, what does Psalm 8 make you think about?
That's a good question. I think for me, it makes me wonder, what would this psalm look like if it were written today? I mean, would the list of creatures be different? What new challenges would it highlight?
Wow, that's a really interesting thought. Would it mention climate change or plastic pollution in the oceans?
Right. And how would it address the responsibility we have, not just to the natural world, but to each other in the face of these global challenges?
That's definitely something for all of us to ponder. So much to think about.
Always. That's the beauty of these ancient texts. They keep asking us these questions even thousands of years later.
Well, on that note, I think we've done our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
And thanks to everyone listening. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.